Good afternoon. The date is March 9th, 2023. My name is Donna Marie Collins. I'm the hearing examiner that will be presiding over the subject zoning request, Citrus Cove Conventional Zoning. The case number is REZ 2022-00020. All testimony and evidence that I accept during these hearings must be taken in under oath. Therefore, I will administer the oath to everyone in the room who may be speaking on the record. Do you swear or affirm the testimony and evidence that you enter into the record will be the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Since there's no members of the public, I will curtail my normal presentation, except to remind you that I am the final decision maker in conventional zoning applications. So following this hearing, I will prepare a final decision. Thank you. You may begin.
Good afternoon. For the record, James Inc. I have testified before here many times and would like to be classified as an expert in land use, planning, and civil engineering.
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you. Madam Examiner, here is a copy for Exhibit 1 of the applicant of our PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, this will be applicant Exhibit 1.
And the team consists of me representing, I'm working with Quattrone and Associates on presenting this case. We do not expect to need any other consultants. The request today is to rezone 6.82 acres from Ag 2 to Residential District RS1 to allow a single-family subdivision. This property is located south of Iona, as shown in red. It is underneath the existing Citrus Cove area. This will be an extension of that. To the south is the Waltrus Plantation RPD, and it's located at 12351 Iona Road. This property, to give a description of what's there, you can see it's the Ag 2 with the little Mickey Mouse ears lake that's in it. To the north is the RPD. To the east is the Catholic Church. To the southeast is a mobile home park. To the south is a AG2 single family community. And to the west is an RM2 community. As you can see from the graphics, what I'm attempting to show here is just compatibility with that table, that the RM2 is a 6,500 square foot lot, the RPD to the north is a 6,500 square foot lot, and an RS1 is a 7,500. So we're showing the compatibility as this is a predominantly single family neighborhood in this area. The mobile home park is obviously of higher density as a mobile home park.
Okay, where is Waltrus Plantation in relationship to this project?
It is to the north.
Is that? I'm
Excuse me?
confused on where the Waltrus
The
Plantation.
Waltrus Plantation is south.
I thought
The RPD,
It's called Waltrus Plantation.
yeah. So this is,
I need a little,
this is Watrous Plantation.
yes.
This is Watrous Plantation RPD. This is where the single-family homes, this is a
Yeah,
multi-family subdivision that's being developed as we speak. The owner owns and encompasses all this property. He's just taken this part, to put in estate homes, bigger lot size.
But their access to the county road network is through,
Through.
Correct. It will be through the RPD.
Through the RPD, there's an access easement already granted here and here, giving access to this.
so the multifamily section and the single-family section, are they interconnected or are they separate?
They're interconnected.
Okay, thank you. And this is just another piece that's being added in,
It's kind of like the last piece to the puzzle down in the corner.
but there's going to be a different product on this piece.
This product is intended, I mean, it is RS1, so it's not like estate lots, but it's intended to be higher end single family
Okay.
as a different product type than the single family to the north or the multifamily that's in the RPD on the western section north of the lake.
Right, I noticed that there was construction underway
Yes,
on the north half.
yes. The single-family area, that has a DO and it's complete and it's certified. And then the area to the west, north of the lake, has got an active development order on it and is getting underway.
Okay.
And then you've got the south piece, which is essentially we're adding that last piece at the back of the neighborhood. And it's intended to be a higher end product than what Lemon Drop Lane and Sweet Kiwi has. First criteria is the LEAP plan. It is a suburban future land use, which all the adjacent properties are suburban future land use, which is a consistent use for RS1 to be in a suburban area. The district area is Iona-McGregor District, and the allocation table has sufficient capacity to absorb this project without any problems to the Table 1B in the 2045 allocation. The suburban land use meets the objective of promoting, and utilities are provided by Lee County Utilities. So that's consistent with the fact that it has water and sewer available to it in the project. It has adjacent single family, so it's consistent from that end. One of the things I wanted to, just because it's in our own area, I want to talk a little bit about flooding and the flood district because of just what we went through. This property is unique that it's partially in an X zone, just about, I'd say 20% of it, and the rest of it is in a elevation 8 AE zone. The existing topo on the property is plus or minus a half a foot of 8. So it's not subject to an area that would be prone to flooding with a 100-year event. Given that, it still has to meet all the criteria of the water management and those type of things. But from a standpoint of potential flooding, it's in an area that's less susceptible than other areas in the Iona district. As I mentioned before, there's an environmental resource permit that's going, and it's a major modification to what's already there to add this last piece to the overall project area of almost 40 acres. So it's been contemplated, and all of that, the single family to the north and the multifamily to the west are part of an existing ERP. We just need to modify it to add this actual development to what's there.
Okay, so the ERP is in the process of a major mod to accommodate or create a unified stormwater management system for
Correct.
all the property.
For the entire properties of the RPD and this zoning application.
Okay.
Off-site flows, as required, are going to be handled, by the 3 different ways you can handle it. You either take it through your system, you accommodate it, or you bypass around your system so that, we don't cause any neighborhood flooding issues. One important thing is in this area is a very small corner in the southwest corner is actually in the coastal high hazard area. The vast majority of it is outside of the coastal high hazard area. Just in the southwest corner, there's just a small piece in there. So from, goal 101, that's become like a primary goal for consistency of projects. We're consistent with that in the elevation of the land and the fact we're not in the coastal high hazard area. We believe is consistent so that we can move forward with this proposed use.
So the southeast corner of the property.
Southwest corner.
Southwest corner is in the coastal high.
Yeah. I mean, it's a.
So what are you doing about that? You're gonna have to get special permits to?
No, that's a part in Policy 101 where we get to restrict rezonings in the coastal high hazard area. And we're saying we're just such a small piece that it's almost de minimis as to affecting our property from a Goal 101. There's no wetlands, and the fact that we have a water management district should find us consistent with 101. All of our services are there. The level of service you don't have to do in a conventional rezoning, but we have looked at it. The level of service is C. We don't see any problem with level of service on Iona when the DO comes in for that part, and we analyze that part. We believe it's it's an appropriate. There's no environmentally sensitive lands that are there. We'll meet all the standard land development code requirements for buffering as need be on our 4 property areas. And there is a ingress egress easement that is recorded that allows legal access to the property, as mentioned before, to the 2 streets on the east and west property line, that there's already legal access to connect to that part to do the internal road work for the homes that are going to be constructed there. This piece of property, they're talking maybe 12, 14, 15 houses is all we're talking about on this property. So going through 34-145, we demonstrated it complies with the Lee plan by the various methods that they look at. We will meet the land development code. We, consistent without any variances or deviations. Compatible land use in the fact that the majority of our neighbors are already residential, except for the Catholic Church, which churches are kind of a unique situation. We have sufficient access with the roadway system that comes down with the easements. The transportation, level of service C, we don't see any problems that'll be addressed at DO. There's not any environmental situation on the property that would be adversely affected. And it's served by all the urban services of water and sewer and fire and sheriff and those type. And we wish that we could be found consistent with the Lee plan and land development code, and approval can be given.
All right, thank you very
That's
much.
all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Dirk? Thank you. Staff PowerPoint will be Staff Exhibit 2. Exhibit 1 is the staff report.
My name is Dirk Danley. I'm a principal planner with the zoning section of Lee County Community Development. I've been previously accepted as an expert witness in the land development code and Lee plan. Would like to do so again today.
Yes, please proceed.
Okay. I actually wanted, before we get too far into it, the question that you had about access, we actually provided a couple exhibits here just so you could see. The master concept plan for the Watrous Plantation RPD actually had stub outs noted in their master concept plan here and here. And then they're constructed here and at least platted here. I don't know if it was actually constructed here. So it was always contemplated that the RPD was going to connect to this piece because it was kind of encumbered or surrounded by it when it went through the rezoning originally.
Will this piece have a separate development order, or will they modify the existing development order to bring this piece?
I believe they're going to have their own development order. My understanding too is that the reason why this property wasn't part of the RPD to start out with is the owner couldn't purchase that one at the time. If you look at the aerial, there's a house here. I believe the owner was just still living there at the time, and the situation has changed and they were able to purchase it.
So the Water Management District permit is going to incorporate all of this, right?
That's my understanding.
That's going to be the main
That's my
receiver of runoff, and then there's some outfall.
That's my understanding, yes.
And what's going to happen with this existing cattle pond or whatever that is there?
I'm not
No.
entirely sure.
No DO pending.
Right, there's no DO pending for this, and because we didn't have a site plan to review, I couldn't tell you specifically. They probably could still build the number of lots they want to while leaving it there.
So what you're demonstrating to me in this exhibit is that the property to the north has already been platted.
It's been platted and it contemplated connecting to the property to the south.
Okay,
That there's not going to be anything that needs to happen to the water plantation RPD to accommodate development to the south.
And the whole project, including the new piece to be added, is going to be a unified plan of development,
Yes.
sharing
least in-
this
in-
amenity of some sort that I see here, right?
At least in practice, yeah, that a person traveling there would see it as a single development. So this property is zoned agricultural. There is a single-family home on the property. There hasn't really been any significant zoning action on the parcel because it's been used just as a single-family home up to this point.
And what is the project to the south, this large lot subdivision that I see? I assume.
I'm not sure the name of it, but it's a platted residential subdivision. It's just zoned agricultural, whether or not it was prior to our, some of these agricultural subdivisions were platted prior to our zoning requirements. And that may have been in this situation as well, and that's why they have, because most of them don't look like they are meeting the minimum acre requirement for.
So it backs up against the south side of this property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to speak briefly on the future land use, or the future land use category, the suburban future land use category does allow for up to 6 units an acre. At the most restrictive development, at that 7,500 square foot lot, you can't even make it to 6 units an acre, so our RS1 district really is compatible with that future land use category. I think most would consider the RS1 district to be a suburban future land, or a suburban development pattern, at least how we would see it. There is a sufficient amount of infrastructure, and we'll go a little bit more further into detail on that. We've already talked about the access being contemplated to connect to this property to the south. But as Jim had already stated, LCU did provide letters of availability for water for this development. And then the access being Iona Road, being able to accommodate the traffic of these 15 to 16 homes on site. The applicant did go into this a little bit. The majority of it is not in the coastal high hazard area. There is a mixture of the elevation A and X shaded flood zones on the property. When this development comes in, they're going to have to meet the requirements of Chapter 2, which may not be anything, but say this isn't developed here in the next couple of years and our regulations change, they would still have to come into compliance with that when development actually proceeds on the property. Policy 5.1.5, protecting existing and future residential areas. The applicant's already demonstrated it, but just to put it on the record, the staff believes that this is a similar development pattern to what's already surrounding this area, and we don't find that it's a particularly obnoxious use for other residential uses nearby. The police, fire, and emergency services are all located 1.4 miles to the east of the subject property. Surface water management would be in accordance with LDC Chapter 10, and bike ped facilities would be required in accordance with Chapter 10 as well. My understanding is that there are some bike ped facilities on Iona Road. They may have to connect to that depending on the requirements in Chapter 10, but my suspicion is that the water plantation is probably also already going to need to do that. So that may be a de minimis change to connect into that. With that, staff finds that this rezoning meets the decision-making criteria found in the Land Development Code and recommends approval of this request.
All right, thank you. So there's no wetlands on the property, it's all uplands.
That's our.
So even though a portion of it is in coastal high, that's not going to affect the plan of development because you can develop in coastal high
Right.
on uplands.
Right.
Okay. So it's just an anecdote that it's in the
Right.
coastal
Yeah.
high, okay. All right, well, this is pretty straightforward application.
Can I add just a couple things
Sure.
for clarification? Could you put the site plan back up? I just want to get them on the record so you understand, so you don't come up with a question after we left here. In the site plan, you can see there is a active eagle's nest, but it's not active in the southern part. That's what those circles are for. But we have an environmental report that it is not an active eagle's nest at this time. Even if it was, we would go through ETAC, we would go through federal or Florida Wildlife and, you know, appropriately mitigate the fact that there is
So was it
potentially.
abandoned? Is it deemed abandoned?
It's deemed abandoned at the moment, yes. But as somebody that just had a eagle come back after Hurricane Egan, you know, they can come back. I just wanted to make sure the hearing examiner was aware if she looked at that and goes, what is that?
Oh, no, I recognize the Circle of Doom.
Yeah. And Summerwood is the subdivision that's south. It's called Summerwood. And it was not that old, that it's not predated 83. I don't have it, but I can see the plat
So
book.
that's access via Iona Road after it makes the turn,
It's access, yeah, from the more southern,
and it backs up to the southern boundary of this parcel. And it looks like it's a large lot, residential.
yeah, you can see the road going off to the west.
Right, and then
Oh.
you've got, it
Yeah.
looks like that's Iona Lakes to the north, which is a multifamily, and essentially everything else is single-family,
Correct. You
and
got,
then the church.
and you can see in the neighborhood, you got RM2s, RS1s,
Yeah.
RM2s. I mean, it's very consistent, I would say, with the 65, 75-foot lot, single family with some two-family type product.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anything further? Well, thank you, everyone. I felt well prepared for this case. I will prepare a final decision within the next week or two. Thank you.
Thank you.